So the Oscars were last night, and I actually feel like they were more enjoyable than they have been in recent years. It felt like an actual celebration of the films instead of, Disney shoehorning in their bullshit. I thought Jimmy Kimmel was fine, he annoyed me less than he normally does. And perhaps most importantly, I thought most of the winners were correct. I think some of the categories were a little predictable, especially with Oppenheimer nominated for so many of them. But that's not always a bad thing because Oppenheimer deserved a lot of the awards that it did receive. The only category that seemed like it was going to be a close race was Best Actress, as both Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone have traded off award wins throughout this award season. If you're unfamiliar, there are a lot of smaller award shows that lead up to the Oscars, and those smaller award shows tend to be an indicator of how the Academy will vote. And in this category, Gladstone and Stone had been pretty much neck and neck. It was a toss-up for who it was going to, and pretty much everybody knew that. So last night, it seemed as though there was not much for Twitter to get upset about, unless you're still riding on the Barbie was robbed and everything train for some reason, until the Best Actress category was announced and Emma Stone was declared the winner, and let's talk about it. So at the end of the day, taste in films is subjective. And if you saw both of these movies, you likely have your own personal reasonings for which performance you enjoyed more over the other. Or maybe you liked them both equally, you saw value in both of them, and you were okay with whoever it was going to go to. But if you made it this far, I'm going to assume that you're here for the discourse, and there is discourse to be had. So let's talk about the type of performances they gave, narratives in Hollywood, representation, and all that other fun stuff. Before we get started, you can follow me on social media in all of the places listed on this beautiful link tree, which is in the description down below. You can also subscribe to my Patreon for just $2 a month for weekly bonus content. This week on there, I'll be talking about the Oscars in sort of a more in-depth format, category by category, if you're interested to hear my thoughts on any of that. And you can also subscribe to my second channel. I have been on holiday, as they say in Europe, for the last week. And I am putting together a travel vlog of my experiences, so if you're interested in that, please go do subscribe. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it.
You're always reading now, Bella. You're losing some of your adorable way of speaking.
I'm a changeable feast, as are all of we. Apparently, according to Emerson, disagreed with by Harry.
Come, just come.
You were in my son.
Okay, so in Poor Things, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, Emma Stone portrays a character named Bella Baxter. Spoilers, I guess, but Bella is sort of a Frankenstein-esque character, in the sense that she has the mind of a baby that was implanted into her dead mother by a scientist. And throughout the movie, she learns to experience life as a woman and, basically what it means to be alive. And so the challenge that Emma Stone has in this film is that, she has to portray the life cycle of one person in one adult body. It's a bizarre concept and it's a bizarre film. I'm gonna be real, when I first saw it, I was like, you know what, this is maybe not for me. I feel like it's a little too out there. There were some things that I just couldn't personally connect with, but I can still obviously appreciate, the amount of effort and perspective that went into the whole film. It's incredible. The production design, the costuming, the whole aesthetic, and of course the performances. I thought everyone in it was great. And the person who needed to be great to make this movie work was Emma Stone, and she definitely succeeded. The way she fully gets this character, at every stage of life, it's not something many actresses working today could pull off. Even though I didn't seem to adore the movie as much as other people did, I wish I did, to be honest with you, I can still totally see why her performance was Oscar worthy. And I know there's gonna be a billion comments saying that I'm biased because I just didn't like Poor Things or I didn't get Poor Things. I got it, I liked it, I appreciated it for what it was. For me, this is purely just like a personal taste thing. Parts of it were a little slowly paced to me, I didn't like the ending that much, and I just personally found it hard to stay engaged with the material. I know I'm in the minority on this, and regardless of how I personally feel about it, I can acknowledge that this is a masterpiece of a production and a film that people are going to be talking about for a long time, and in regards to Emma Stone, a performance that people will be talking about for a long time. Also, anytime I talk about anything related to award season, I feel like I always just have to mention how Willem Dafoe is just criminally underrated. He should have been nominated in supporting for this, he should have an Oscar by now, and I'll forever appreciate him for playing the sexy fish in Finding Nemo.
You want to go to Washington, D.C.?
This may be the last thing I do. Please send help. There's murder in Osage, and the police do nothing.
Okay, those clips aren't my favorite from Killers of the Flower Moon. You can only do so much with copyright here on YouTube. But this film is directed by Martin Scorsese and tells the story of the Osage people. Specifically how the Osage were murdered so that white settlers in Oklahoma could take control of their oil resources. And similarly to how Emma Stone was the heart of Poor Things, Lily Gladstone is absolutely the heart of this film. The way she portrays just the concept of suffering in this film is unlike anything I've ever seen. Killers is toward the top of the list of my favorite things I saw last year. I have some problems with the length and the pacing, but of course, it's Scorsese, masterfully directed. The acting was incredible. I felt the tension was there despite the runtime, and I absolutely love the big swing that Scorsese takes at the end. And while Lily Gladstone's portrayal of Molly Burkhart wasn't necessarily the most flashy, you know, there isn't this big dramatic scene that these lead Oscar performances tend to have, but she uses so much subtlety in her performance, in her facial expressions, in her voice, and you just watch her sort of rip her heart out for this movie, and it's incredible. So with all of that being said, obviously these two actresses were more than worthy of receiving an Oscar nomination this year, and their performances are both very different, but both very strong. It's not like one of them was bad. If anything, it was pretty similar to Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett last year. Dramatically different performances, but you could have seen the Oscar go to either one of them at the end of the day. And whether we like to admit it or not, it's not all about performances when it comes to the Oscars. Campaigns and narratives are very important. Emma Stone already has an Oscar. She's a super high profile and talented actress. If she didn't win this one, she's probably going to win another one within the next 10 years or so. Whereas Lily Gladstone had more of a Cinderella story moment this year. She was about to quit acting when Martin Scorsese decided to cast her in Killers of the Flower Moon. Leonardo DiCaprio has been basically campaigning for her this whole time instead of himself, proclaiming to everyone who'll listen that she's the heart of the movie. And of course, there's the optics of the situation in the sense that the Oscars have historically had a problem with diversity, and that women of color rarely lead their categories, and that Lily had the potential to make history as the first Native American woman to be given an award by the same industry that has notoriously been discriminatory to Indigenous and Native American people. And that's what's kind of been pissing me off a little bit on Twitter, because I feel like people are using the fact that Lily Gladstone had such a strong narrative to point at the outcome of this race and go, oh, that's why you guys think she should have won, even though Emma Stone had a better performance. When, I don't know, personally, I think Lily Gladstone had a stronger performance. I just think that it's not the type of performance that the Academy usually awards. So it just kind of sucks seeing people reduce this discourse down to, oh, you guys wanted the Native American woman to win because of diverse woke points or whatever. When no, I wanted it to win because I thought it was the best performance given by an actor this year. And you can flame me for that all you want. At the end of the day, how you feel about a film and a performance, like I said, is a very personal thing and a personal experience. And I'm not shitting on Emma Stone by any means in that regard. I thought she did a great job. Christ, Emma Stone herself did not even want to win. If you go back and look at that video of her name getting announced, there is a look of pure fear in her eyes. Also, if you watch The Curse with Nathan Fielder, which Emma Stone also stars in, this moment right here is just so many levels of meta irony that I can't even unpack right now. It's insane. She did not expect her name to be called, and obviously I don't want her to feel bad for winning. It's not her fault that she won. She should be able to celebrate her win without having to apologize to the Academy, the way that Ryan Gosling should not have had to apologize for being a man and getting a nomination. But at the same time, I feel like we can all collectively acknowledge, maybe, that Killers of the Flower Moon was kind of paid dust this whole award cycle, especially at the Oscars. And this could be for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it has to do with the luck of the draw. You know, I often wonder how this race could have played out if Oppenheimer was not released this year. Would Killers have gotten more love as a result? I don't know. Because at the same time, the Academy, for whatever reason, has a history of not fucking with Scorsese when he's up for nominations. Off the top of your head, if you don't know the answer, just go ahead and guess how many Oscars Martin Scorsese has won. Guess how many? 1. Billie Eilish, at this moment in time, has more Oscars than Martin Scorsese does. And that really sucks in this case because at Martin Scorsese's age, with his body of work, with his level of prestige, his career, he could be making whatever kind of movies he wants. He could be doing more white-collar crime, more Wolf of Wall Street, and that would be great, but he chose to take the time this year to portray the true story of a group of people who were systematically murdered and taken advantage of for political and economic gain. A story that still rings true today in a lot of ways. And I've read some critiques of Killers of the Flower Moon from the perspective of Indigenous folks who watched it, and I'm not here to say that it's the most perfect movie about Native American issues that's ever been created, but I respect the fact that it was created at all by one of the most renowned directors to ever walk this earth. And more than anything, I appreciate the fact that it gave Lily Gladstone the platform that she deserves. What I can hope for now is that Lily Gladstone is, seen in Hollywood as an actress with a lot of potential, as a big name, as someone who should be cast in big name projects. I just really hope she doesn't get written off as, the Native American who played the sad Native American wife in Killers of the Flower Moon, because she is so much more than that, and she just seems like such a wise and introspective kind of person. And in a time where it seems like everybody famous is becoming like a young, vapid, carbon copy of the trending archetype on TikTok, I've really come to appreciate how genuinely authentic she is. For anybody sending hate to Emma Stone, don't do that. It's not her fault, and she'll be fine. And for any of the racist dumb fucks on Twitter who are championing this as a victory against the woke mob, you should know that you're cheering on a movie where a woman pisses off every single man she comes into contact with and takes back her agency by fucking her way through France. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Let me know what you thought about the Oscars this year. Who do you think got snubbed? What was your favorite performance? How excited are you that Dune 2 is going to win Best Picture in 2025? I know I'm excited. Thanks so much for bearing with me with these couple, short little videos in the past few weeks. I'm working on more slightly longer form content. There's a new How the Internet episode on the way. We're redecorating the set a little bit. Good things are happening. Keep an eye out for all of that. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.